It's a disease. It's a disease. If somebody had diabetes, we wouldn't say to them, why are you so weak? Just don't eat that piece of cake and nothing's going to go wrong. We would never say that to them. If somebody had cardiovascular disease, we wouldn't say, why did you have the heart attack? We would never say that. But with mental health, with addiction, we think we can just turn it on and turn it off, and we can't. And we can't. And where does it come from? Your unique biology, your blueprint, what you're made up of, that gets passed down. The traumas in your life and the environment that you put yourself in. So we have to start with, what is your unique makeup? Now, once we have that, here's what we need to do specifically for you, personalized for you. Then work through the layers of the traumas. Everybody has traumas in their life. The big T's, I call them, the little T's. Every day, we've got little T's, hopefully not big T's every day. But it's then, what does that do to you? Because trauma is more than just a word to justify a negative experience. It changes our physiological makeup. It changes that DNA epigenetically. And then that environment that we keep ourselves in, that's the lifestyle piece that it's up to us to say, if I'm not in an environment that's supporting me to be the best me, what am I going to do to change it?
You just said a lot.
Yes.
And the reason why I said a lot, that you said a lot, is because sometimes I have to give social media a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's emotionally and mentally draining to the point sometimes I wish I can be more than one places at once.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things you said, and it really rippled in my ear because somebody said this yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
you got yourself there, so you're going to get yourself out.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to generalize everybody and put them in this one box and treat them the same.
Yeah.
You've been raped, put you in this box.
Yep.
You've been
Yep.
abused as a woman, put you in this box. You're in
Yep.
an abusive relationship, put you in this box. You're
Yep.
addicted to drugs, here you go. You're addicted to alcohol, here you go.
Yeah.
I can't bother with them. They put themselves through it. It's
Right.
your fault. You had options. I wasn't like that, so why are you like that?
Right.
We
The
start
judge.
to judge. We start to mirror ourselves with other people to justify why we shouldn't help them, why we shouldn't care.
Yep.
And I had to go to this for a minute. We see a lot of women, men, children coming out about being molested
Mm-hmm.
in an
Yep.
abused relationship,
Yep.
um, put into some terrible situations. And I've seen some nasty things where people are like, well, why did you go back? Why did you stay? Why didn't you run? Why did you go back into another relationship? Why didn't you take a break for yourself? Do you know that
No.
you can be addicted to being in relationships
Oh yeah.
because you don't want to be alone? Because
Yep.
that's all you know is being in a relationship. So you don't have to go silent
Yep.
and be with your thoughts.
Yep. Yep.
They ask, why don't you leave your environment? You came from an abusive childhood. You met somebody who showed you a different side of the world.
Yep.
You have now attached yourself to that person because you were like earning for something different, something new, something
Mm-hmm.
that didn't feel like
Mm-hmm.
when you were a child. And now you have it. And although you're being abused by that person, whether it's physically or mentally,
Yep.
you just can't find yourself
Yep.
to pull yourself out and leave.
Yep.
And it's a psychological thing, like you said.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, I think about children that go through it, and people like to ask the question, why didn't you tell your parents right away? And I think about my molestation. There was so much going on with my mom.
Yeah.
She was such a hard worker. She worked like no other.
Yeah.
And she made sure she provided. We did not go to bed hungry. We had
Yeah.
everything we ever could imagine. However, she wanted this relationship to work so badly that she
Mhm.
put more time and energy into that relationship and working so that we had what we needed, because
Yep.
that's what her mother did.
Yep.
So everything else, even if she saw the signs,
Yep.
it's like her unconscious mind blocked it out.
Yep.
That's not what's really happening. There's no way that that's happening. My kids are good.
Yep.
So my environment and me wanting my mom to be okay and wanting her not to worry about us because she
Yep.
already has all these other things to worry about.
Yeah.
I didn't want to add that to her plate. So as a child, I was trying to figure it out on my own. I was trying to figure out how to escape.
Yeah.
How am I going to get it to stop? Maybe if I run away, then I'll be one less thing for my mom to be worried about, and
Mhm.
she won't have to deal with what I'm about to tell her.
Yep.
So as a child, we try to analyze and figure out it ourselves. It's like going to school and being bullied. You're trying to figure out I'm going to take on this bully.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't tell their parents.
Yep.
So you talk about environment and our DNA.
Yeah. It's
And
all of it.
it's all of it.
Yep.
And you explain it so perfectly.
Yeah.
And again, I have to thank you for who you are
Aw.
and for choosing this career. Because you didn't have to, but you knew that there was a gap
Mhm.
and you had to stand in those gaps and be that person. So
Yeah.
it's important to me that you're doing this because there's too many people that are suffering alone
Absolutely.
and
Thank
they're misunderstood. So I want to really thank you again
you.
for
Well,
that. I'm getting emotional because there's not enough people that will take on the role of doing that. And your work is tremendous.
thank you. I appreciate that. That means more than anything. That gives its value. But it's true. It's not the what's the easiest road to go down? Let me choose that. Oh, I mean, some days I'm like, why? Why? But this is the why,
Yeah, this is the
hearing
why.
from you. And then your listeners hearing this, you telling your personal story. Hey, my personal story. These are all real people and they're showing up every day and they keep showing up. That's the lessons, and that's hopefully what your listeners hear here. And then they say, you got to listen to Jen's podcast. You got to hear this. What she talked about was this and this. And how many of us, Jen, cannot identify with something that we said today? Everybody can.
Everybody.
It's part of the unique human experience, right?
Mhm.
We all can. Whether it's us individually, whether it's someone close to us that then affects us individually, all of this stuff affects us.
Mhm.
And even from the people whose mental health is so severe that they're doing things hurting other people, we can change that too. That's where the science should be used. That's where the science should be used. And we do a lot of pilot programs, just to segue here for a minute, in jails. Because you're incarcerated because of the behavior, and you should be. But after that, we don't want you coming out as the same way and winding up back in there. You've had all your own stuff, which is what got you there, right? So it's everybody. And this is such a huge piece of what can change us all for the better, which is why I say epigenetics is so powerful. It gives the power back to the individual.
Yes. And can you share some key insights from your research on the link between childhood experiences and behavioral patterns?
Oh gosh, sure, yeah. You see, a lot of what then gets labeled as conditions and diseases, for example, OCD, childhood traumas, that much like a story that you told, that stayed in that trauma changed your physiology. Those genetic pieces that we always had that were the negative part of us, the weaknesses, which we all have, get turned on, and we see a person show up for the rest of their life in that way. This is every day. This is every day.
It's every day. Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you. And what are some practical steps individuals can take to break free from generational patterns of trauma and addiction?
Sure. So, that piece that I talked about that was missing because it's a biopsychosocial disease and mental health is always the underpinning of it, is really look at your unique blueprint. Otherwise we're guessing, we're saying, well, I see Uncle Joe's behavior is this way, Aunt Mary's behavior is that way, so that's a little bit of me. And we're throwing a dart and we're hoping we land someplace close. We can now look at what we're made up of. And then from that's what we do. We then look at the biochemical pathways and say, where do we need support to optimize the end result of that problematic biomarker, which then changes somebody's life.
Then changes somebody's lives.
Yeah, that's the action step. Find out who you are here and where the strengths are, where the weaknesses are. Let's optimize the weaknesses, give you a different life.
And I like how you talked about, a lot of people, when they see people in jail, they just believe, okay, well, you went to jail, we're going to write you off.
Right.
But what's next for them?
Right.
Because some people, they really are remorseful.
Yeah.
Their circumstances cause them to do certain things and
Yep.
they want to change.
Yep.
We talk about rehabilitation programs and stuff, but does it work?
Right.
And how do we make sure it works?
Exactly. Unless we're changing that physiological piece, it's not going to. Somebody in jail probably had their own traumas in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it changed their physiology. They're showing up the way they are because of what's happened to them. Mm-hmm. Like, we need to stop just labeling things and saying, let's dig in and treat everybody the same and say, we're all back to the 8 billion people in the world. We are all unique. Let's see what we need to do to make you the best you.
And it's possible.
It's possible. Now it's here. The science has been done. It's here.
Mm-hmm. It's very possible.
Yeah.
Now, you talked a little bit about your neurotransmitter reset program.
Mm-hmm.
How does your custom panel and the neurotransmitter reset program address the complexities associated with mental health conditions?
Sure. So neurotransmitters, they're our brain chemicals. They're things like serotonin. Why someone's put on an antidepressant or an SSRI. Serotonin is what's trying to be addressed. Dopamine, a brain reward cascade. Epinephrine, norepinephrine, GABA-aminobutyric acid, glutamate. The list goes on and on. We actually can measure these brain chemicals. So someone showing up with certain symptomatic behaviors, we can identify where that's coming from. Let me use the example of serotonin, because there's so many people that are on antidepressants or SSRI meds that it's something that most people have heard of. I cannot tell you, Jen, the amount of patients that we see that when we measure their serotonin, and they've been on an antidepressant for decades, their serotonin's still in the tank. That antidepressant never worked for them, and it was never going to. Twofold. One, antidepressants are not meant to live on for years. They were created for acute situations in your life. This happened, really tough situation. Do this for 2 weeks. But people are living on them for decades, and I'm not kidding when I say decades, living on them. They were never meant for that, first off. Second is, one of the genes that we look at will tell us if your DNA is going to have an SSRI be effective to begin with. So that person of the example of their serotonin's in the tank, yet they've been on an SSRI for decades, it was never going to work on them to begin with because they have this specific gene that's going to make it ineffective. So 20 years you've been on this, your bladder, your liver, your kidneys have had to process this medication this whole time, and it never worked. More than that, what happens to that individual is the doctor says, well, let's change it to this one. Let's half it. Let's double it. Let's go. We're going to try this one. And it's this merry-go-round of antidepressants that never work. Mm-hmm. And then the person's like, none of these are working. Well, it's you. These things work. It's you wanting to be this way. what that does to someone's emotional state destroys them. There's no hope. When in fact, it was never going to work for them, but no one took the deeper dive to see what their genetic makeup was, and was this going to be effective?
Yeah.
So we can measure these neurotransmitters. They're some of the biomarkers we look at. So I talked about serotonin, then I talked about that one gene that would say, is that even going to be effective for this individual? That's all part of what we do in these biomarkers. And this is truly personalized care, because everyone, again, has a unique blueprint. And if we don't know what your blueprint is, we're hoping we land someplace close. We should be today, because of what science offers us, not having to say we should get someplace close. We should say, we've identified this is exactly what makes you up. We've looked at the biochemical pathways. What we're going to do to optimize is this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm. Truly understanding people plays an important role on how they transform their lives and how we can help them.
Yes.
Just like a child.
Yep.
When you're going to school, some teachers believe that all children learn the same. They do not.
No.
They do not. They do not.
No.
So a lot of times you'll hear teachers say, I don't know, they're just not getting it. And they want to label them or diagnose them with certain things instead of understanding their learning styles.
Yep.
And once you do that, that child can succeed.
Yep.
So it's the same concept.
Exactly.
If you want that person to really heal and grow and transform, you have to understand who they are, their experiences, and what shaped them.
Absolutely.
How can recognizing the patterns of generational trauma in our family history, empowering individuals to confront and heal their addiction rather than perpetrating the cycle?
Oh, beautiful. Understanding everything that we've talked about here today, Jen, is it kind of takes blame and shame out of it and puts science in it. Mm-hmm. That's the part that I love, because so much blame and shame keeps people where they are and they don't move forward. Mm-hmm. So now we take science, say this is science, forget all the naming and the blaming and all the other stuff. Science is allowing us to look at your unique makeup and change how that story ends.
That's interesting.
Yep. It removes the blame and the shame and allows science to make the next move.
That is, that reminds me of, I was talking to my friend and she was talking about her son, how, he just does certain things. And I'm like, well, where do you think he gets it from?
Exactly.
So then she says to me one day, she's like, it's just in the DNA, Jen. There's just some things that are just in the DNA and you can't change it. It's just there. And I'm like, I believe you about the DNA part, but I don't believe that it can't be changed.
Exactly.
I believe that if we give them an opportunity, and it's almost like when you said some people just don't want to change. Mm-hmm. If you're taking an Advil and you have a migraine, mm-hmm. and you keep focusing on the migraine, you keep saying, oh my gosh, this migraine just won't go away, this Advil's not working.
You'll be right.
You'll be right. Yep. You'll be right.
Yep.
Because your mind and your whole energy is rejecting
exactly
the Advil from working.
Exactly.
So then I said to her, it's the same thing. It's in his DNA, yes, but you are placing him in this environment and you're demonstrating to him those same qualities that you have, and the DNA that he has in him, it just keeps growing because you're not showing him any different. You're not allowing him to choose for himself.
You're right. You're
it's
100%
like
right.
For me, I said, for the longest time in my life, relationships with women or anybody, if I sensed something that was wrong or you weren't being genuine to me or you just didn't align with me, mm-hmm. I chopped it off. The relationship was done. I wouldn't even let you know that I was thinking anything. I just automatically stopped talking to you.
Yeah.
And I said, why do I keep doing this? This is not good. It's not good to say my cutoff game is so strong. That's not something to pat myself on the back about. And I realized as a child, my mom's friendships and the environment that she allowed me to be around, her friendships were so toxic. They were always gossiping about each other. So
Right.
when I sensed something or saw something that didn't
Yep.
align with who I am, I'm like, okay, no, 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 red flag. This is what I saw my mom go through. I gotta
Yep.
run.
Yep.
But I had to change that.
Yep.
I gotta start asking questions. Okay, well,
Right.
I didn't like that. I didn't like the response you gave me. Your actions gave me an impression that, and then we figure it out together.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Give them the opportunity to say, to show up and be like, yeah, I do gossip about you all the time. Okay, and then that's toxic. We don't need to be together. Or I don't mean to be doing that. I got dragged into it. I didn't realize I was doing it. You know what? You put shed a light on that. I'm not going to show up that way anymore. Thank you for making me a better person.
Yeah. And we try to play the blame game, like we said,
Yeah.
or we point fingers and we avoid uncomfortable conversations. But
Mm-hmm.
that's how we help each other grow,
Right.
is
As
pointing out those things.
Right, as long as it's a healthy environment. That's the little nuance to it, right? If it's an unhealthy environment, yeah, no amount
Yeah.
of talking is going to change that. But most are not. That's the outlier. Most are have the conversation because that person doesn't even realize it that that's how they're showing up. You don't realize that you're interpreting it to maybe what you were taught, and that's not the case now, right? So that's where the communication can be a win for everybody.
Because not everyone's aware of their
Right,
actions.
right.
Believe it or not, it's like if you tell my dad right now you were self-medicating from alcohol, he'd be like, what y'all talk about? No. He would probably tell me, no, no go so. Like,
Yep,
no,
yep,
dad, okay. So
yep.
not everyone's aware of it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
What are some key signs of generational trauma that individuals can identify in themselves? And how can this awareness serve as a catalyst for personal healing and recovery from addiction?
Great question. So really looking at, how you're showing up in the world. Well, looking at it, what I call the honesty inventory. You don't have to say, this is what I do, Dr. Higgins, and I don't understand why you don't have to tell me your
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.
story. I'm not the principal in school. You got to be honest to yourself. So, in being honest to yourself, are you seeing these behaviors? The ones that you hated in your mom, the ones that you hated in your dad, or aunt so and so, uncle so and so, cousin so and so. You're doing the exact same thing. Say, okay, is this how I'm showing up? This is so deeply entrenched in our family tree. I probably should look at these biomarkers because I don't want to repeat this for the love of the people I've created and for myself. Because kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation of, here's where you are, here's how you're showing up in life, and it's all supposed to be a gift. And what are you passing down to those that you care about most? What are the lessons? Is it this family's been this bleeped up for this many years and we're just doing the same thing? Or is it, you know what? I got to it and I actually did the honesty inventory and I saw it for what it truly was. And I said, there was still love there, but I want to change those pieces of me that I'm seeing that aren't healthy. And I can do that. That takes strength. That takes being willing to put in the work. It takes I'm gonna actually look and identify what the physiology is. It takes all those pieces of honesty, but the where you wind up is so much better. And that's the gift that you can give.
That's the gift that you can give. And sometimes it takes separation,
Yeah.
because I had to do that. I find that when you're trying to break away from those genetic DNAs and
Yep.
breaking the trauma and breaking the cycle,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll have to separate from the ones that don't want to change it.
Exactly. And that's healthy too. That's a healthy response. to keep walking back into a fire that's truly unhealthy. You say, I know I'm going to go over there and they're going to be drinking and this is going to get ugly and, emotions are going to fly and maybe furniture is going to fly. You'd have to say, there's something wrong with me if I keep going back into that fire pit. Right. So there's the judgment of what's healthy, what's unhealthy, and that's standing back and looking at it. And if it's like, truly, this is really messed up and this isn't healthy, you don't need to go back.
Right. As we're talking, like, and we use our stories and our experiences to help people and let them know that it's okay to do certain things. I remember not wanting to go to certain events that a friend had,
Yeah.
because every time the event would happen, it would turn out into her family fighting or friends
Mhm.
fighting, and it was just too much.
Yep. Yeah.
And even when I was trying to bring peace,
Hmm.
I'd be labeled as a bad person because they're
Right.
not used to somebody interfering to have a different outcome.
Right.
So
Right.
recently, the tables always turn sometimes for
Yep.
us to really learn those lessons and understand what somebody was trying to show us. So
Yep.
now somebody had said to her, I won't be coming to that event because my mental health just can't do it. And I have to protect
Yep.
myself because right now I'm healing. And if I
Yep.
come, it could cause damage. And she says to me, I'm so proud of her. And I was like, listen, all I could do was laugh in my head. And I was like, the double standard is killing me.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you've had other friends who explained this to you and told you that they're healing and
Right.
they've been doing some work on themselves, and they know that if they come to that event, it's not going to be conducive to what they're trying to do.
Right.
But you know, you were proud of this one person. You see how the tables turn. You have to understand that regardless of what it is, if you know that your mental health is at risk, there's going to be things there, people there,
Yep.
substances there that you are in the process of breaking away from.
Yep.
It's okay to say no. And it
Exactly.
doesn't matter who's upset with you.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And you have the strength to be able to do that instead of just acquiescing to, oh, they'll talk about me if I don't go and they may say bad things about, let them. So what?
Let them
So what? Right? And that's what real strength is. That's where real growth is. Because you're not willing to be like, oh, they'll talk bad about me. They're going to talk anyway.
They're going to talk anyways.
News alert. They're going to talk
And
anyway.
if you show up, they might even say something even worse that may throw you off. And
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah.
that process of healing.
Yeah. And your mental health does need to come first. And that's where the stepping away part is so important to all of this, because it's not until you walk away that you really see it for what it is. Because generationally, there'll be every excuse in the book. Oh, but we're a fun-loving group. Oh, but in the end, we're all there for each other. No, you're not.
No. That's an excuse.
Right, exactly. No, you're not. But it's not until you walk away that you can actually see, gosh, this is really unhealthy. This is really unhealthy. And is this what I want to pass down to my family that I've created? No.
It's so funny that you said that, because we have friendships and relationships that we've built based on that. We condition it. Okay, well, it's toxic. It's not healthy for me. It's emotionally draining, but we're loving, we're fun, and we show up for each other. That's not good enough.
Right, exactly. That's called dysfunction.
Dysfunction.
Yeah.
And when somebody uses that against you, that's them trying to manipulate you.
Yep. Yep. They're not
the way.
right. They're not willing to really look at themselves and say, this is who I am. This is how I show up. They're going to do all of the deflection.
Yeah.
And with like, well, we're family and this is what we do. Yeah, well, family doesn't act this way. So you're not really family.
And I've had people say to me, oh, well, family's everything. So, sometimes you just have to accept them for who they are and move on. No. If I'm holding myself accountable, I'm holding them accountable, because
Right.
I'm doing the work.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
doing the work so that I can help us all be better.
Right.
So, it's really understanding that it's okay to back away.
Yep.
And be with yourself and get the help that you need. And if you choose to continue those relationships, make sure that you are prepared for it and you're
Right.
prepared to walk away again, because not everybody will be ready to change. Some people are okay with the life that they're living, and you have to choose the right life for yourself. So,
And let's say you've done all that work on yourself, you step back, you took the time out, and then you say, okay, I'm ready to go back in. And it's the who do you think you are?
mm,
That's so unhealthy.
mhm.
That's so unhealthy. But this is people just doing we're in a group and we can talk this way and we can do these things. Like, no, actually,
No,
we're all individuals, and no, you can't. So I'm out. You guys keep doing you, but I'm out.
yeah, those boundaries, those healthy boundaries.
Yep. And
And it's
and,
okay.
and right. And this in this intergenerational trauma, boundaries typically are something that are lost. So you come into the game of not understanding boundaries to begin with. Why we see repeated traumas,
Mhm.
because you came into the game not understanding what a boundary was. You lived a life because you're watching of not understanding what a boundary was. You now get negatively impacted by that. Maybe know, maybe still do not know. And now hopefully you're trying to make the changes.
Yeah, gotta be willing to do
Yeah,
for yourself at every single cost.
exactly.
And,
Exactly.
you know, Dr. Evelyn Higgins, you are such a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And if there's anything in your career that you have set out to do, but more importantly, the message that you want people to receive,
Mm-hmm.
and anybody that is right now either going through the process, still struggling, or just about to begin their journey and say, you know what? I matter and I want myself to live a full life that I deserve.
Right.
What message would you want them to receive and
Right.
really understand?
So I would say everything that I've done in my career has led up to the work that I do now. So the first layer is the science is here, guys. Use it. Use it. And then beyond that is that your life is a gift. And there's only one. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, fun, without pain and sorrow, but that's why we have the others, the joy, the love, all of those other opposites to that are here. And being true to yourself, right? William Shakespeare, to thy own self be true. Being true to you and living your truth the best you can, showing up every day, doing what you need to do, uniquely you, to be uniquely you. That's everything. That's all of it in a nutshell. It's your unique physiology. No one else is like you out of the 8 billion. And then getting that to the best you can be. And then actually saying, I'm going to show up every single day like this is it. Like this is it. If today were all there were, did I show up my best today? Leave no regrets. Leave it all out on the field every single day. Then that's a good life. And that's a life that people can learn from. And that's why we're all here, to help each other.
We are all here to help each other.
Yeah.
And your message is truly, it pierced through me, to be honest. I'm getting goosebumps, like you said before,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I think we forgot that we're here for each other, not
Mhm.
just for ourselves and our immediate family members or our friends in our circle. We are here for everyone. Our stories are not a souvenir that you put on your shelf. I say this all the time. It's
Right.
not for us to put on our shelves and take it down when we're ready and show the world and shine it and be like, well, this is what I went through and I overcame. No,
Yeah.
your story, your experiences are for somebody else. It's like a roadmap
Right.
for them to know
Yep.
that doesn't matter what level they are, where they are in their lives, but they will get through it.
Yep. 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 Absolutely. Well said, Jen. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. It's all of those things. It's not on the shelf. It's you, the whole you. And whoever you interact with today, whoever I interact with today, when I go to the carnival, I'm bringing all of me. And let's hope that we all understand that we're in this thing together. And if we can pass on one good thing, hear one thing in your podcast, Jen, then we're doing our job. And we're trying to show up the best we can every single day. And it's to help each other, because in helping each other, we're helping ourselves.
Helping ourselves. Indeed. And if there's anyone that would love to have access to your program,
Sure,
and would like to reach out to you, whether it's coaching, whether it's however you can show up in their lives,
yep,
how can they reach out to you? How can they connect to you?
sure. So the two websites, wiredforaddiction.com. If you find yourself or your loved one in that, like, go to that website. A lot of information on there. Look around. And then you can schedule a 15-minute complimentary consultation with one of our clinicians and say, here's what's going on. This is what we've done. This is what we haven't done. Is this something that would help us? So wiredforaddiction.com. The other website is wiredbiohealth.com. That's people that you're not quite at the addiction stage, but you know what? I just want my health to overall be better. Or, I've got some of this anxiety or this depression, but I'm not an addict. That's wiredbiohealth.com. And our phone number is 888-841-7099. So any way you want to contact us, just contact us. Have that 15-minute talk. Like, what's going on with you? Would this be beneficial for you? Life can change. The science is here. We have to use it.
Yeah.
And again, a big thank you for you, Jen, because this is how people learn. And somebody hears this and they're like, my gosh, I had no idea that. It does make sense, though. We all are different, but we're not treated different. And that's why I don't get better. Like, then you pass that on. Here, listen to Jen's podcast. This is what you need to know. This is the example of we're all helping each other.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you for saying yes and joining me.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And do you have any events or any TED Talks that we can look out for, or that's coming up soon?
So the TED Talk on addiction, it's my name, Evelyn Higgins, and then understanding the biomarkers of addiction. I'd really say take a look at that. If it's you or someone it's taking like complicated science and making it in just under 7 minutes, which is not easy. But to just say, you know what, it removes the stigma, removes the shame, and just says there's science here, guys, and we all have a story, and we all wind up where we do, and we all have strengths, and we all have weaknesses, but we can do something about it. And what matters is that we do something about it. I've got speaking engagements coming up, different places. Like next month, I'm going on a tour in the UK, which is real fun. And then Nashville in the fall, and Atlanta in the fall, a lot of different places. But you go onto our YouTube, The Wired Biohealth. We've got podcasts, we've got YouTubes, we've got, if you found this like helpful in the I'm not alone, one, and two, this has given me strength to say I can do something about it, continue listening to that kind of stuff. That's going to drive you, not going to the party where everybody's going to make fun of you because you don't want to do whatever they're doing. That's going to not help their life, but doing that. And sometimes it might feel isolating, but sometimes that's the piece that you have to go through to come out on the other end.
Isolation.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the strength is. Yeah. And it feels really good to tap into your own strength and show up that way. That's powerful.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me. It was an honor, an absolute blessing to be in your presence. And I learned so much from you myself. So I feel good. Like, I'm going back onto your website and I'm going to be pulling information from it and sharing it with families and friends. Because sometimes people don't want to click on that resource. But if it's coming from somebody that they look up to and, somebody that they admire, I think that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Wired for Addiction, Wired Biohealth. Take a look. And Jen, thank you again for the work that you do. That's the stuff that matters. These are the kind of conversations we should be having. Instead of tearing people down, let's raise people up.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.